mode.
Good morning, everybody. We want to welcome you to our webinar. We're really excited to have Brooke Sauer with us today from Agile. She's talking to us all the way from Germany this morning, so we are excited to have her with us. Just a couple of pieces of housekeeping before we get started. First, if you have any questions, feel free to type them into that question box. We're going to get them called out and answered for you. That's easier than people trying to mute and unmute themselves. Secondly, we record this webinar and all of our webinars that we do at Innovia. So if you want to watch this again later, if you want to have anybody from your organization watch it, we will have it up by the end of the day on our website, which is innovia.com. So Brooke, without any further ado, I will hand it right over to you.
Great, thank you, Abby. Hello, everybody. I'm thrilled that you could join us this morning. Really looking forward to showing you the product. So, yeah, welcome, and we'll just go ahead and get started. Yeah, like she said, I'm Brooke Sauer. I'm with Agilis Group. We're based in Hamburg, Germany, and yeah, I'm the Director of International Partner Management. So, yeah, we will now get started. Okay, skip down. Now, Agilis Group, just a little bit about us to brief you on the company. We're based in the lovely but freezing cold Hamburg, Germany. Workflow has been in the market since 2005. 2010, it was awarded the Microsoft ISV of the Year, and we've been in the President Club several years running, so we're quite well known in the channel. We have over 200 partners worldwide, and we're represented in 35 different countries. Might be a little more now, actually, now that I think about that. Over 25,000 end users of agilesWorkflow worldwide. We are available in 10 languages, about to be 11, I believe. So it's pretty well used throughout the globe, and we're pretty well established out there. We have clients in all sectors, from oil and gas to sports clubs. I think in the UK we have Fulham. It's a second-level soccer league. Manufacturing companies, both consumable and non-consumable goods. So here are a few brands that might be familiar to you that you might know of. And yeah, we service a wide range of different types of customers. So, you know, the good thing about the product is it goes into any business, any sector. Doesn't matter what you do. We have workflows for you. So, what is a workflow? Let's first talk about what is a workflow. Technically, it's defined as the flow or amount of work to and from an office, department, or employee. We have all majors in business, right? How many of your businesses look something like this? I'm sure, you know, everyone's had their days where it feels like this anyway, with all of your processes. So now what we do is we clean up all of that chaos, and we help your processes to flow a lot smoother and seamlessly, and that. So how does it work? How does the workflow system work? Well, first we organize all of your procedures and all of your tasks into workflow templates. And then you just sit there and you wait for things to happen. Once you've programmed everything in your system, you don't have to do anything else with it. It just sits there and then waits for workflow waits for an occurrence in NAV that will set off a trigger that starts your workflows. So for this example, we have a new vendor workflow. So something has happened in NAV, like we set up a new vendor. That sets off the trigger that says, hey, start my workflow. That initiates the first to-do. So the first to-do in this case is to create a new vendor folder. An automatic email is sent to the person responsible, and that person will then go in to the system and create the new vendor folder, or whatever the task is. As soon as that task has been finished and the person indicates that that task is finished, then that particular to-do closes and it moves on to the next one. Oops, what did I do here? Yep, okay. Moves on to the next one, which is attach vendor contract in this case. So the to-do is to attach a vendor contract. Again, an automatic email notification is sent out to the person responsible, and they go into the system and do the work. Then we go on to the third one, and so on, down the list. Automatic emails are sent to the people who are responsible. And the cool thing about the automatic emails is that there are 2 links provided in the email, and one of the links takes you directly to the task, the to-do. So you can work directly in Workflow, and it shows up in NAV. And then the second link in the email takes you directly to the point in NAV where the to-do is coming from. So it'll take you to the customer card or the vendor card or wherever the work needs to be done. So it takes you to 2 different places. So that's kind of nice. So that's the basic of how it works. Now the design process. So how do you get all that chaos into order? This is where Innovia comes in as your partner. And sometimes we also help out in this process. So the first thing is we define the problem. What do you want to solve? What workflow are you trying to build around what business process? Second, we just define the sub-process, and that's by breaking down the overall business process into specific steps or sub-processes that describe each step. So, who's responsible, what's the timeline, what has to be done, this kind of thing. Next, we define the order of those sub-processes. So what order? What's first, what's second, what's third? On the next one, we define on a high level the nuts and the bolts, so like the reference types, the workflow templates, all of the technical details that will go into it. And I'll show you a little bit of a diagram. It looks something like this. In the end, you end up with something on paper that looks similar to this. And this is what your partner helps you do. Just sort of says, okay, what has to be done? Who does it go to? How long do they have? And you lay it out in a very easy to understand diagram, and then your partner helps you, or you can do it yourself to program that into the system. Okay. And you build that into NAV and you're finished. So those are kind of the steps you have to take ahead of time in order to get this system up and running. And once you're finished with that, then you just sit back and let it work. There's really no maintenance involved after that. It kind of runs your business from there on out. Okay, now I'll jump to the system quickly. So here is the role center of NAV. 2016 is what we're working with today. Now, I have it set up as an administrator, but as you probably know, you can set it up as anything. You have your salespeople or HR people or anything like that. I have it set up as an administrator because I want you to see what a manager would see when you're looking at the system. So obviously you have your role center in here. It's really valuable to know that as a manager, you have visibility here of all the completed to-dos all of the status of all of your workflows just right in front of you on the first page. So you can see how many workflows you have open, how many are critical, which isn't always a good thing, how many are archived on hold, this sort of thing, how many are due right now. So, you know, you have a very nice view of what's going on in your company just right out of the gate. I changed the date here, so 1 second. All right. Okay, and then if you're not the administrator, we also, okay, I clicked on that here. Let me show you this. So I clicked on the now to-dos just to show you a list of everything that's waiting now, just to give you an example. It's being a little bit slow for me. That's okay. All right, so here's a list of everything that's due at the moment. You have a description of it, you have the reference type description, keywords, you have the to-do type so you can easily see what kind of a to-do it is. You have a team code so you know who is responsible, or the employee code that shows exactly the person responsible. So we have employees and teams, which is nice. And then you also have dates, so the start date and plan date. So it's an easy way for you to just quickly glance in and see if you have something that's critically late. You know, you have the possibility to very easily see where it's at, you know, who has the task now, why is it late, this kind of thing. So we'll jump back to the Role Center, hopefully quickly. I've discovered that sometimes when I'm on web sessions, it slows down my system for some reason, so I apologize for the delay, but we'll get through it. It's important to also note that as an end user, so somebody who's not an administrator, not a manager, as an end user, it's very, very simple to use. Every individual in the company that has it will have their own little dashboard. So I can start my day, pull up my NAV, and see immediately which workflows or which to-dos I have to reference. It's very convenient like that. I don't have to go and see all the workflows for the whole company. It will just conveniently show me what I have to do, what I'm responsible for. People who aren't assigned to particular, you know, I'll be able to see my task in a workflow, but I also can't see what everybody else's task is. I can only see what's assigned to me. So that's nice. And I have also no permission to go in and approve somebody else's task or to do. I can't, you know, the system won't allow me to do something that's not authorized for me. So that's also a nice thing. At the moment, we will just pop back to this Prezi. Okay. We've had a lot of questions about the new 2016 standard workflow capability that's in NAV. And I wanted to just address that quickly and let you know that while we consulted with them actually and sort of worked with them a little bit on their workflow capabilities, and while it's good and we support what they've done, there's still a lot to be left out of their solutions. So there are still certain functionalities that only remain with us. They are supportive of building a workflow solution, but they don't provide that solution itself. They've provided limited hard-coded scenario examples for using event capabilities. So this is, you know, your workflows, but they're very limited and they're hard-coded. So that basically means that they have to be developed within your system. They've provided some hard-coded things for you, but it's only in a few different areas, and very quickly you can create some workflows with what they give you out of the box, but very quickly you come to a point where you need development. If you want a workflow on something other than sales orders, purchases, items, vendors, or customers, for example, you need development time. If you have more generic processes in your business, then it very well might fit for you. But if you want to get into workflows about HR or marketing or anything else, jobs or projects, then you have to either develop with theirs or have ours, because we provide a more comprehensive set of everything. Everything we give to you is already done. Theirs is not as complete. Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, an easy explanation of kind of how we're different is the timing. Timing is probably one of the most important things when it comes to workflows, obviously, in your business. It ties the whole thing together. You can have processes all day, but without timing, you don't know if things are being done on time. You don't know if you're staying in compliance with the timelines in your business. So we offer a very clear definition of timing, like you have this many days to get this done. After you have 4 days to get this done. After the fourth day, it becomes critical. And they have kind of a similar thing, but ours goes way further in your date monitoring. So that's one thing. Status visualization is the second. Okay, we can visualize timing in the role center, like I showed you earlier on the role center. Every employee gets their own activity section in the role center where they can view the statuses of their to-dos. So, and additionally, the management, like I said, has their view of everything. So that's a huge thing that you don't get with the standard is, an easy way to see where you're at within the company. The next one, it spans all parts of NAV. Like I said, they give you a few, hard-coded workflows in certain categories, but then that's it. Anything beyond, you have to have developed. We span all parts of NAV. If your imagination is the limit, really. If you can think it, we've probably already done it. So we can provide you with a lot of different kinds of workflows that you could only imagine. Structured tasks and to-dos. Okay, so they just kind of say something has to be done. We get into more of the how and the what has to be done, as I'll show you here shortly, hopefully. We have 5 to-do types: manual completion, field examination, date monitoring, document storage, and decisions. So we have different types of to-dos. We don't only say something has to be done, we say what has to be done and how it has to be done. So that's something additional that you get with us too. It's not a guessing game. And further, that's also interesting for conditional responsibilities in to-do activations. So if something happens in NAV, then this gets activated. For example, like purchase approvals. So we have something called conditional responsibilities, where if you have a purchase order that needs to be approved and it's under $2,000, let's say it'll go to this person for approval. If it goes above that, then you can set conditions and say, okay, if it's above $2,000, it goes to the next higher up person. If it's above $10,000, it goes to this person for approval. So we have different ways that you can approve things too, based on a condition that you set, which is something that you don't get with them. And then finally, our workflows are easily customizable, so you don't need development. Everything is already given to you. So we'll move on again. I'm not sure what's happening here with the system. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to go to customer, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to set up a new customer workflow. Yeah, it's being so, I just tested my system before I jumped on, and it was working perfectly fine. I have noticed, though, it, sometimes when I get on these web sessions, it does this. So I apologize for that. I'll try to make this as painless as possible. Okay, so what I'm going to do is create a new customer. Now, once I create a new customer within NAV, it will, in theory, create a new workflow, a new customer workflow. So we don't know a name. Okay. Okay. So that's the name of our, we won't put anything else in because it'll make our workflow a little bit more interesting. So that's all we'll do. We'll click OK. So I created a new customer. Boom, that's finished. Now, if you'll notice, although it's being slow, you can still see the system working. You can see, I go back to the home screen. Okay, now we're going to go to workflows just to see. Now you see that little box flashing in the center here. That's our system kind of. What it does is, it's called the function call server, and what it does is it looks into NAV and it waits for things to happen. So every minute or so, no, every 10 seconds or so, it scans all of NAV and it looks for changes. And once it recognizes the changes, that's what initiates all of the workflows. So that's kind of a nice thing to know. You go to workflows. Mm-hmm. The good thing too about it, come on. Sorry guys, are you in there with me? All right, and we're in. On a normal day, you know it's much faster. Now basically the workflow tab here just shows you a list of everything. Now here we have on the top, like I showed you, statuses. So there are actually 24 different statuses. We typically just do, open, critical, late, these kinds of things, but you have the possibility to have 24 different statuses. You have the description of the workflow, right? You have the reference type, keyword, start date or end date, all of these things. So you can easily see here, and all of this is customizable. You can add things, take away things. You can put in here any information that you really want to see. So look, our new customer workflow has generated, and we'll expand the view. So new customer workflow for the Innovia customer. So we expand view, and what we're going to take a look at now is all of the specific to-dos that are in this workflow. We'll just click here to expand everything. And again here, all of this is customizable. You have your team codes, employee codes, your to-do type. This is interesting because then you can see, all right, what kind of to-do we're responsible for. And again, this is a view that only the administrator gets. If you are an end user, you only see what you have to do. That's the only thing that you have access to see. So that's also very interesting. Another interesting thing to point out is we also have, if somebody's out sick or on vacation, you have the possibility to program the system so that it looks for the next responsible person. So you can have it recognize who the next responsible person is. Okay, so the first to do is to check the mandatory fields. So this is a field examination to do, so we will have a look at the card. Now if I click show source, that will take me directly to the customer card. If I click card, it takes me to the to-do card. Now you can go either way to finish the to-do. It doesn't make a difference. You're very welcome to work directly on the customer card if that's how you want to do it. Or you can work from the to-do. For our purposes now, I'm going to work from the to-do. All right, so here is the to-do card for check mandatory fields for a new customer. Now you'll see at the moment it's not marked closed. We see it's a field examination. And up at the top here you see all of the different to-do types that we have available. Now you'll see I can't click on any of these, so this prevents anybody making a mistake. The only one available for me to click on is examine fields. So you don't have the possibility of going into any of these other to-do types when you're completing your work. Okay, now I hit examine fields and it brings me to the page that I need. Okay, so this is the table and it says, okay, I needed a name. This one's complete, status complete, customer. I needed to have a name. This filter means it cannot be empty. So here we see that Innovia customer was entered in. That's great. Now the second one, customer posting group, it just can't be empty is what it's saying. So we go to our drop down. Yeah, typically when we're working, it's because the system is being slow, you're seeing this box so much. Typically it's a very fast flash in and out. You don't really have that in your site too much. It's only because I'm working. like this. So basically what this is saying is you have to enter things in here. So you have your drop downs that pulls the information from NAV. So it'll, you know, you need your business, your VAT. So if it's import, whatever, you have it there, and you basically go into this card, fill out all the information that it needs, or enter in the missing points, and that's it. It says here the credit limit can't be 0, so you put in a number of what the credit limit is. So this is a good way that the system actually will check your work. You know, if you've put something in that's not right, or you forgot to put something in, then the system checks and says, hang on, this stuff isn't in there yet. Now, had I entered this the first time, had I entered all of this information the first time, then it's possible, then it would have skipped over this to-do. This to-do wouldn't even have been an issue because all the information would have already been in there. So that's a nice thing. Guys, since this is doing this to me, I'm going to, all right, okay. I don't know, I can try to go through, but I don't want to spend too much time filling this in if it's going to behave this way. I'd rather show you some other things, interesting things that it does. So okay, we're just entering in our information easily, no problem. And you'll see that it checks the box along the way. Once the information gets put in, the status goes to yes. So that's nice. Put in a credit limit, and we're done. So in theory, you'll see a closed, yep, closed check mark comes in, shows you the to-do is finished. You click OK, and that's it. So that's how easy it is for someone to just go in and complete their to-dos. The next thing up is attach to credit application. So this, as you can see, is a document storage to-do. So we would then access the card. To access the to-do card for that, and attach the credit application. Very simply, there's a button that says attach credit application, takes you to your files. You would go into your own files, attach it, and then it closes as to-do. And like I said before, if you work on the to-do card, that's fantastic. It also saves in NAV, so there's no double work. It's all, you know, pretty seamless. It's making me a little nervous that it might take too long, but we'll try. So it's the store document one. Manual complete means you have to go in and just click manually complete. Like, for example, create vendor folder. That's something you would do not in NAV. So it can't. So your task isn't in NAV. You just have to do something outside of NAV, so it's a manual completion. So here we'll look for a path. Examine fields we just did. Store documents. Yeah, let's see, we'll just attach any document to that. So you add the file name, the path, click OK, boom, closed. Very easy. Examine documents is another one. Make decision is another task that you are able to do. Now this is interesting for loops. So if I have, let's say, a new item workflow, if I have a new item workflow, and let's say it's gone through everything and it's failed the quality check. So what happens then? Well, we have loops, so therefore your workflow would go back up to review the spec sheet or something, and it would go back and review. The to-do would take you back to the beginning of the whole list of to-dos, so you can make them loop back to where you want it to go. I won't go through all of these at the moment because, again, it's being a little funny with me, so I don't want to take too much time on this, but you also have groups. So as you can see, this is broken down into groups. So what happens here is after this one's finished, a group one gets sent out. So the groups are interesting because here we see the finance department, the accounting department, and the warehouse all have to do something. So they sent the to-dos all at the same time. Now it doesn't matter who finishes when, as long as all three of these are done, and the system won't go on until all three of those have been done. So I'm going to get through the Prezi really quickly, and then so we can close out of that. And then maybe we can try and see if it will be a little faster. So basically, no matter how many branches you have in your business, no matter what your processes are, we have workflows for them. Simple. I would challenge you to come up with one that you think we wouldn't have, because as I learn the system, it's very robust, and we've pretty much thought of everything, so we have something for everyone in here. And to talk about our features and benefits quickly, just to sum it up, and I've already spoken about this, transparency. So the role centers allow for a bird's eye view of what's going on in your organization. You can identify bottlenecks easily, so this is a pretty important part. The flexibility, so the workflows can be created for any process you can imagine, so there's no limits. Reduced customization. Again, we provide you with what you need. All you have to do is define your processes and what has to be done, and then you're finished. You don't have to do anything else in the system once everything's set up, and it's easy to set up. Okay. The benefits would be increased productivity, obviously. Because your tasks are clearly defined, your deadlines are met faster. Employees can become more productive. There's not as much guessing or waiting around. Is this person done with this? You don't have paper flying around. You don't have paper flying around the office. It's all, electronic. Reduce risk. So structured workflows allow for more accurate and correct work. So procedures and protocols are being followed, keeping your business in compliance. And that can be with internal regulations and also laws. Now, proactive versus reactive. Organized workflows allow you to help prevent problems before they start and stay on top of issues in your business. So that's pretty self-explanatory. If you know something's going to be late because you see it's about to go critical on your workflow, then you can catch it before that happens. So that's pretty nice. So you talk to your Novio Novia rep about anything else, but that's basically it. Now I'd like to close this. If anybody has any questions, it would be good to type in now. Otherwise, I'm going to try and see. There was something I really wanted to show you. It was quite an interesting one. We can create workflows on jobs. Jobs is projects, basically. I created, but please jump in if you have any questions, because it's being quite slow and I'd like to be productive here and take questions as we do this. So I'm going to jobs, which is projects. And I have a job here. One of our jobs is the Innovia Customer Conference. Look at that. Now if I click to edit the job, if I change something to this job, so I set it up, it's the customer conference. I have a workflow that tells me everything that has to be done for that conference. Now I'm going to change something in that job. The address is the Woods Resort in the woods, let's just say. We'll click OK. So I changed something on the card, the main source, so that will start a workflow for me. Okay, so then we'll go back to home and watch my workflow be created. Yeah, so this is a fun workflow to create. It would be anything that you would have to do during a conference, let's say, or an event you're having. So this is a workflow specifically set up for an event. This is one I built on my own. So this wasn't one that's you'd get in your system. This is just one that I built for fun, just to kind of show you a couple of things. It shows you like a loop decision. So basically one of the steps in this workflows is to get the CEO's approval for a budget, and it's a decision to do. So if the decision then is, yes, then the workflow, yes, he approves the budget, then the workflow would go on to the next steps. If the decision's no, then it loops back up to revise or create your budget. Go back to the table. So it was an interesting way to show how we decisions. So that's nice. It'd be great to show it to you here. Just a second. Okay, it's automatically inserting workflow, so that's good. So it should pop up here momentarily. And something I didn't show you only because the system's being so slow, but in the expanded view, when we look at a new customer workflow, you saw all of the tasks and to-dos were, this exclamation point, like they're about ready to be active. As you go down and complete them, they all turn to green, and then eventually your master indicator here is green too. So it's a nice, pretty little way to have a look at everything too. It gives you a clear visual indication of everything that has to be done. So here's our workflow, our job. I will go to expand view. So this is the conference. So I'll show you the tasks and to-dos that would have gone into this. Yes. So, well, luckily, if this is on the website, people can also fast forward through the dead the dead time. Um, all right, now let's just expand the view quickly to show you the steps that I created. Um, yeah, so this is was just kind of a fun one. So the first thing Innovia would do if they're having a little customer conference is gather the list of attendees, you know. So this is a manual completion. They just do it. The sales team would do it. They submit their budget inquiry. Okay, so that's document storage. So it's submitted in NAV on the job. Then the budget decision is with the CEO, so then you have the boss in charge of approving that. Now, if that gets rejected, then the loop would go back up to submit budget inquiry. So it would keep looping until it gets approved. And then once it gets approved, it then will continue down. Then you would send the customer invitations. So this would be a marketing tool. So you can pull in different areas of your business. Doesn't have to be just one. And that's a manual completion. The event planning, so this is a group. So that says that these are all things that need to be done at the same time. So it sends, because this is in a group, it sends all three of these to-dos at the same time. Like I said earlier, it doesn't matter what order they get done in, it doesn't matter, they just all have to get done before it goes on. So you have order catering, and that's document storage, book a location, manual completion, and book the audiovisual needs, manual completion. So you assign it to different people. So that was kind of a fun one to make, just for fun. So it's also to show you how flexible the system is. You know, I just sat down with a piece of paper and wrote that one out. So, you know, if you can do that, then you can build a workflow. That's kind of how easy it is. So yeah, I'd love to open it up now to any questions you have. If you have any, I apologize for the system being so slow. It doesn't do that normally. It's just, I'm not sure why, but when I attach sometimes to these meetings, sometimes it slows down. So do we have any questions?
You know, Brooke, we do not have any questions. I think you've been so concise that we haven't gotten any questions in.
Well, that's wonderful. Okay. Well, I would encourage you then, if you do have any questions or think of something later, or if there's something that you want to know, or if there's a workflow in particular that you have in your business and you would like to see it displayed quickly and you want to see the system in action, then I would encourage you to get in touch with Innovia and us too, and I can help you, we can help you to actually give you a full proof of concept. If you're skeptical or you want to see it do a certain thing, then we would be more than happy to arrange another private demo for you where we can talk more specifically about your own problems and how we can help you. And I would, yeah, really like to hear back from some of you maybe in the near future on that. So, doors open.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Brooke. I'm just going to remind everybody you can view the recording of this webinar later on today on our website. That's innovia.com. And, you know, thanks for joining us for this webinar, and we hope to see everybody on the next one.